How would you confront this hatred in order to create peace?
Round 2, y'all. Irrelevant side characters in Shippuden: Lee, Tintin, Kiba, Shino, and so on. Treatment of female characters. That's my biggest ones of all. Fair point. Shino won every fight in his filler episodes and in his canon episodes. I've already said multiple times, Kiba was wasted, he had potential, he was not afraid to take so many risks in order to accomplish the mission, he was brave. Kiba, I said many times, Kiba had guts to go far, and he didn't give a shit. All he knew is that he was a ninja, and he had to put his life on the line when he had to. Kiba is definitely underrated. Rock Lee, absolutely. Very inspirational character. He had... Kishimoto built him up to be something amazing, but he just... We don't know. Rock Lee just went downhill, so I don't know what else to say. He just didn't do anything with him. It's sad, though. Kishimoto, please tell us the reasons why Naruto went down, please. I'm still waiting for that interview, bro. I really think Naruto Shippuden is becoming underappreciated because of people's attachment to Part 1. So, okay, there are legit reasons to like Part 1 over Shippuden. People say Shippuden has a better story than Part 1, which is basically very fair and probably true. But something about the original felt more human, personal. Everything in Part 1 made sense as well. The power scaling was very, very small. The side characters got their screen time. They all mattered to the show, and Part 1 side characters is the reason why Naruto was so good in Part 1. But after they were wasted in Shippuden, you didn't have that spark anymore. Naruto Part 1 was so good because every character did something, had screen time, and they had something to prove. So in my personal opinion, that's why people like Part 1 over Shippuden, because things did truly matter for every character. The fights were very clever, very intelligent, and things were just simpler, you know? And Part 1 just... it's so special. It's special in the heart, man. Naruto not actually achieving world peace. I know most of the conflicts are from the aliens, but the fact that shinobi still exists must mean that there is still conflict. So, personally, apparently in Boruto you can choose to be a ninja or citizen, I guess, in the village to live a normal life. It's kind of weird. And if there are ninjas, that means, yes, there is still ninja conflict going on in the universe. So, I don't know really much to say about that one, to be honest. Be a ninja or don't be a ninja. And if you do become a ninja, I guess good luck to you. The ninja world isn't as dangerous, but yeah, I don't know what they're doing with that point. It's my short comment to that one. I really don't know how much to say. There's probably still conflict of ninja missions that should happen in Boruto, but they're not focusing on ninja lifestyle. They're focusing on something more complex and bigger power scaling. And yeah, I just like it when things were smaller. But yeah. What was a crime in Naruto was exploring other factions within the story. Like in the Zabuza arc, we were introduced that there were more than ninjas in the world. Evil businessmen can affect the world of Naruto, but Kishimoto stopped and just focused on the ninja system. It would have been cool to see, like, assassins going after people. Naruto could have been in the Bingo Book after he defeated Pain. That's an interesting one. So, the only big thing that should have been explored more in Kishimoto's world building, like I mentioned, I love Naruto regardless if it's a small world or if it's a big world, but I would always wanted to see in Naruto was other experiences of how ninjas did their own things. Like the Mist Village, we know a little bit about that one, but we didn't really explore it a whole enough. I would have loved to see a very dark and personal Hidden Mist arc where we actually get to see them slaughter people, go on missions, and we get to see the ninja world being more explored, more of how darkness can really consume them as a human being and turn them into a monster, like Zabuza. There are other ninjas, probably even worse than Zabuza, not as overpowered as Itachi or Kasame or someone in the Akatsuki, but just someone really mad and insane that wants power. There were other ninjas that were in Naruto that did not get explored more. I would have loved to see an arc where other ninjas can show us what they do in their village. Like, how do they execute people? How do they do their missions? How do they save people? How do they have to do what's right in order to protect their village? You know, some people do things worse than other villages, and some things do more softer things compared to other villages. Like, the Hidden Leaf Village was always criticized for being the softies. And the Sand Village pretty much kills anyone in their path that's harming someone they love or care about. That was proven by Gar's team. They pretty much killed and brutally destroyed Sound Ninja in a heartbeat. And there were so many other opportunities to show the world building of Naruto, of how the ninjas, you know, work in their system. There were so many opportunities to introduce other ninjas from their clans to show us how they live their lives as a ninja. How do they do their missions? How do they carry on their duties? How do they save people, treat people? All villages do things differently, and that would have been really cool to explore more, but it just wasn't. But more personally, I would have just loved to see more of a darker side of the past of Shinobi, because there are other ninjas in Naruto that do things more brutal, more graphic of how they handle their missions, and that just was never explored more. But that's my opinion. I feel like Kishimoto had something really going on for his world building, but he only focused it on the Hidden Leaf Village. But, you know, it's what we got. The Hidden Leaf Village is as loved as it is because we spent so much time in the Hidden Leaf Village. That's why when Pain destroyed it, we were like, oh shit, my home's been destroyed too, because the Leaf Village became like a home for Naruto fans. So when Pain destroyed it, you felt that pain as well. But at the same time, I like the idea of taking a break from Hidden Leaf Village, which also mean, you know, no screen time of Naruto, the main character, to explore other villages' conflict and battles and their wars. You know, you never know, you know? But that's just my opinion. Also, I hate it when one of the Storm games, for some reason, the Akatsuki were given a better story than the actual anime. And then they had a cold-ass scene with the Akatsuki assembling. Yeah, that is generally it, really. So, I believe we should have gotten a very well-written, professional Kishimoto Akatsuki arc. If Kishimoto would ever come back for a movie or something, I would have loved a true creation of the Akatsuki. How did Pain and Obito find the other members? The Storm game is somewhat canon to the universe, I guess. But it would have been really cool to see how do they find the members, how did they get them together, how do they work together as a group. You'd be partnering with this guy, you'd be partnering with that guy. Did they all have like small conflict battles to rank everyone's power, to hook them up with another person? Like, I don't know. Like, the Akatsuki arc should have really happened, like an actual true creation of how they found every single member and somewhat of a backstory. Not every member in Naruto needed a backstory, but most people believe that the ones that we should have gotten a backstory on was absolutely the Akatsuki. I feel like Kasami's backstory could have been really explained more. Dater doesn't really need one, but it would have been nice to know why he decided to go rogue and destroy, you know, the stuff that he did, people, villages. He became a terrorist. He was only 15 at the time when the Akatsuki found him. Why did he take the Hidden Stones, Forbidden Jutsu, etc.? And Hidone's backstory could have been explored more. We should have gotten one by Kakuzu. Like, there's so much information about the Akatsuki that I don't think Kishimoto really planned all that all the way through, which is another bit of his downfalls, which he's already committed. He didn't plan a whole lot in Naruto. But Kakuzu definitely need one. You know, I would love to see a Kakuzu versus Hashirama fight. Personally, I feel like Hashirama just left him there to die and just left him like that because he didn't want to finish him off, because Hashirama somewhat is a kind person. But I don't think he planned Kakuzu to live that day, but Kakuzu ended up living after that, and then he probably just left and did his own thing. Years later, he got into the Akatsuki, I guess. But yeah, I agree. The Akatsuki should have been explored more in a very professional matter of source material and not from a game. Even though that you could say that the game version did it better than the anime, but I would have loved to see if Kishimoto would actually come back and wrote a full movie of the Akatsuki in general, but yeah. The existence of Obito, the dude is a walking plot hole. I fucking agree with you. How Madara was killed off, the villains should have been more making decisions on their own instead of being a puppet for someone, would have made Zetsu making his puppet more. Reviving irreverent characters and dragging their fights in the war. Yeah, the first half of the war was so pointless. Kishimoto did not plan ahead. He had all these ninjas coming back from the dead, and all the fights in the war arc, the reason why they were garbage for most fans, because all these fights didn't have the attention of Hitachi versus Sasuke, the fight that was built up for a while, or the Final Valley fight with Naruto and Sasuke that's been built up for years, or, you know, or a fight where Pain comes down and we get Kakashi risking his life and he might live or die. You know, fights like that back in Naruto, they had really strong suspense, Some of them were even built up for years. The Warwick was like, here's a fight, here's a fight, here's a fight. None of the Warwick fights in the very beginning were foreshadowed. They didn't have any build up. They were just zombie characters that we already know about their abilities. We already know how they do things. They were mostly just thrown to us, and we accepted them, and they were just boring. Like, I don't feel like Kishimoto planned all of that, and Saucer and Data were wasted. They didn't even need to be in the war, in my opinion. And if they were in the war, Data and Saucer should have been in the war alive, and not Edo. They totally nerfed everybody. Kakuzu didn't even get a fight. I don't even know why he was brought back. He lost to Tenten, which was weird in his power scaling. But yeah, I agree with you on that. Naruto's answer to Pain on how he will bring peace, making her strategist moves to kill Sasuke alone, leaving Kiba and Lee in a jungle, missed such a perfect opportunity for Lee and Kiba versus Sasuke. Would have been great justice for the side characters. So basically, okay, I can't defend Kage, Summit, Sakura. I can't defend that version of Sakura. I don't know what Kishimoto was going for, but I don't understand what was the point of drawing Lee and Kiba in your original manga just to get them knocked out. Like, if you weren't going to do anything with them, then why don't you just leave them in the village? That's just a waste of drawing material. And that was animated in the anime, and we got to see that as well. We thought Kiba and Lee were going to get screen time, those who didn't read the manga, and no, they got knocked out. Sakura failed at everything with Sasuke and Naruto, and just all she did was cry, and she almost got herself killed. And I felt bad for Sakura. Like, there's no way she's this bad. Kishimoto just made her bad. And, like, I can't defend 5 Kage Summit arc Sakura. I defend the good writing that I saw in her, sure. But that version of Sakura, I don't even know what that was. That was some depressing stuff. I can't explain what he was doing in that arc, but that's why the 5 Kage Summit arc, in my opinion, isn't as good, because the second half was just terrible. The Sakura stuff, the Naruto and Sasuke speech, that was completely not necessary. It was just really a waste of time. But yeah, that's my thoughts. I'm kind of upset that Kishimoto didn't put a lot more effort into his world building. It didn't have to be a One Piece level world building, but a little more insight into how things work in the other ninjas' villages, and not just Konoha, as showcasing how the world outside of the ninjas look. Could have been nice, I agree. Kishimoto decided to only focus on the ninja aspect, and even that was limited to Konoha alone. Okay, so yes, Kishimoto's world building could have had work, sure. You know, when I tell you guys that I love Naruto, regardless if it's small world building or big world building, that's just me. You know, I'm not saying it needed to be small to be good. I'm just saying I accepted how things are. I love Naruto regardless, and that's just it. If it was needed or not, yeah, you can argue that. But I feel like the reason why Kishimoto focused on character writing more is because I think he didn't plan to have a big world. And that's just how it is. Some creators can do a big world, and some people can't make a big world. World building takes a lot of time and effort. That's why people were so impressed with him in Samurai 8, because the world was massive. There was space, there were other places to visit, there was so much to explore. And I don't know, like, maybe that was one of his downfalls, I'm not sure. But yeah, I definitely agree. The ninja system should have been explored so much more. Like I said earlier, it would have been great to see other character arcs with other villages of how they do things in their own villages, how they carry their missions out, how do they execute people, how do they do things on the dirty side. You never know. I would have loved to see like a brutal arc of Naruto where ninjas just kill and hunt and destroy and rob for money. The gruesome, basically how it was for Zabuza to make a living in the ninja world. He had to kill and rob. I would have loved to see more of that. But we didn't get it, so it's a shame. Kage gets a little bit too much hate. People tend to call her trash because she was an overpowered blank state, but I don't think that is fair criticism. In my opinion, Kage is actually pretty good, is actually a pretty good villain with a good concept. The only problem with her is how she was introduced into the story as well, resulting in power scaling issues. Okay, so I agree. I've always liked Kaguya. I know it's shocking. Delix actually likes Kaguya. I like Kaguya because of her powers. I like her design. The problem is that Kaguya should have been a movie villain. Basically, a movie villain would have worked in Naruto because how it works, so basically how it separates, you know, the actual formula from the anime/manga to an actual movie, you can pretty much get away with anything in a movie. Movies are fun because they're not supposed to be canon. You can get away with whatever you want. Kaguya being an overpowered alien in a movie would have made more sense. But in a world of ninjas, no. You see, Kaguya was cool, sure, but the way that she was introduced is what people hate her the most, was the way that she was introduced. Not because she's an overpowered alien, it's also because the way that she came out of nowhere. People keep saying that they were never surprised. They knew this was coming. They knew Madara was going to get screwed over. They knew Kaguya was going to happen because she was mentioned. Okay, just because she was mentioned, it doesn't mean she was actually going to come into the story. Because look at this. This is my favorite example to this. Kakashi's father was always mentioned in flashbacks. He was only a character in flashbacks. He was always mentioned throughout the story of Shippuden, but he never came into the story. Just because Kakashi's father was mentioned quite a few times, did that actually mean Kishimoto was going to revive him in the story? No. Same thing could be said about Kaguya. She was mentioned multiple times, but did we really think she was actually going to make an appearance? No, we didn't. Because it was episodes and episodes later after Madara told the Kaguya story to Hashirama. Episodes later, there's no sign of Kaguya yet. We got more episodes. There were still no Kaguya signs yet. And then out of nowhere, when Madara does the event of Tsukuyomi, oh, now she appears. Okay. I don't understand how people defend that. I just feel like just because you mention a character doesn't mean they're actually going to make an appearance. That's just my opinion. But I don't know what to say. I like Kaguya for what she is, sure. As a movie villain would make a lot more sense. But her as a villain after Madara was a no-no. That made no sense. That's just my opinion on Kaguya. I like her powers, I like what she does, but to be the final boss in a world of ninjas didn't really work for a lot of people, even myself. But after that, after Kaguya was defeated, that should have been a wrap. No Kara, no Jigen, no Sasuke. Kaguya should have just been that. That's it. That's just my opinion. Alright, this has been episode 2. Let me know what you think about episode 2. I'm Dealix. Subscribe if you want, and stay ninja weird. Bye.